LeBron James enjoys a reputation throughout the entire NBA and on social media for complaining, whining, and bitching like a 14-year-old girl trapped in the body of a 6'9", 230-pound man. LeBron whining to the refs is a huge part of his legacy. Like right here, where he is complaining to a ref while trying to rip this guy's shoulder right out of its socket. And the king complains online too, smearing his delicate feelings all over the socials, like he does here, whining about a foul call from a game. And I don't care if X didn't exist back in the 90s, Kobe, Bean Bryant, and MJ would never exhibit this type of female tendencies. And this year, the season didn't even start yet, and LeBron James is already griping about the most basic task his chosen profession asks of him: showing up to a game. Can someone please explain to me why we're getting on a plane emoji and heading to Milwaukee for one preseason game? Maybe because it's your job. For last year's All-Star game, he fussed about the size of the shorts that the league gave him in a game he didn't even show up to. He even complains about the game of basketball itself.
Not just the All-Star game, it's the All-Star game in general.
Here LeBron goes after the officials at the NBA Replay Center in Secaucus, New Jersey.
I don't understand what's going on in the Replay Center, to be honest. I think I said it this year or last year, whatever. D-Lo clearly gets hit in the face on a drive. What do we have a Replay Center? This is going to go... It doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me.
And now he's going to gripe about a game he didn't even play in.
And then I just saw what happened with the Sixers-Knicks game, too. What are we doing?
And look at his passive-aggressive mic drop and walk-off. Those are female Kardashian-like tendencies. And of course, there's this classic clip of LeBron reaching deep into his bag, complaining to the refs with a full-blown tantrum.
Lakers furious. They thought he was fouled. Excuse me. And it's now overtime.
Look at your hero, bronzexuals, jumping up and down like a 6-year-old when mommy takes away the iPad. Pathetic.
Luka scored 37. I mean, that's a full night's work for him. I think LeBron James thought he got hit on that jump shot, and I think he did. You can see the tangible frustration etched on the faces of both he and Doncic tonight. He's not a complainer. He's not a complainer. He's not a complainer. He's not a complainer. He's not a complainer.
Maybe he's dancing for some dollars from Clutch Sports. Of course, real basketball fans absolutely torched him in the comments, because real fans are getting sick of LeBron's act. Here, the head coach of the Houston Rockets flat out told LeBron to stop bitching. Actual journalist Michael Wilbon went after LeBron for complaining about the media because it's so hard being the face of the NBA.
And in LeBron's case, though, when you've been praised justifiably, you've earned the praise and the hundreds of millions of dollars that have started since you were 8 years old. When you put a crown on your head, do you actually believe that the rest of us are just in your kingdom to serve you? Sorry, there's criticism that comes with that. There's comparison that comes with that. I don't know that LeBron feels this way because I haven't asked him. I'd like to ask him, is he referring to the constant comparisons of Michael Jordan? Because if he doesn't like that, too damn bad. The comparison, the constant attention, that's how you get all that money. It doesn't come from fannies and seats. It comes from attention and eyeballs and viewership and listenership and all of that, Tony. And I just wonder, really, do you think that we're supposed to just be there in public relations terms? We're not on your payroll. We're not there just to praise you.
And even LeBron's boy, his podcast pal, and Laker head coach, JJ Redick, is tired of hearing the king whining and nagging. But LeBron's bitching isn't just unsportsmanlike, womanly, and a stain on the competitive spirit of the entire sport. His bitching costs his team points. Like when he stays to argue with the refs while the game continues on. Here his teammates are playing 4-on-5, and when Portland hits a 3, he has the audacity to yell at his teammates when his bum, complaining ass didn't pick up his man on defense. Or what about here?
In front, James, who else? And he just bounced it right off of Booker, and it ricochets over to the Suns. They wanted a kickball. Allen scoops it up, good, and a foul.
Hey, instead of reenacting the nutcracker at midcourt, maybe pirouette your ass back down the court, LeBron, and slow the guy down who's attacking the basket. But real NBA fans on the East Coast or the West Coast know that nobody whines, nags, bitches, and complains like Barbie doll Bron James.
A shot to the chest. I mean, there was contact. James did get hit, but he feigned heavier contact than it was.
Hollywood. I mean, really, a soccer player would have been embarrassed about that. The theatrics LeBron James put in it. I mean, that was Keanu Reeves-like.
Yeah, that was my first thought on the call, was saying feigning heavy contact.
That was terrible acting. That is a
But it happened so fast, I didn't even know who it was. But I'm all right. I'm a football player.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
I mean, he pushed him, but flagrant? That's not a flagrant.
They called that flagrant? Oh, come on. What kind of league are we becoming if that's a flagrant foul?
By James, instead it's a takeaway for LeBron. 6 early turnovers, that is ruled last touch by West. It'll be Miami ball, as West disagrees with John Goebel's call.
Yeah, I like the fact that that was a hard trap. You're going to see it right there. Now it comes down to whether or not the ball definitely is off LeBron James. As the ball almost came to you to give you a little one-up.
Another fine for LeBron James on the flop right there.
Has to be.
There was a little bit of contact there, but not as much as
lead into the fourth, so they can avoid those struggles putting the ball in the basket.
Rose looking for the steal, made contact with James, and the foul called. Second on Rose.
On James here, look after the play. A little bit of a wink.
If we're talking about the greatest of all time, and we allow to have somebody in there who is flopping like crazy, 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 flopping like crazy.
You serious?
Yep. Then I start to second guess opinions of basketball fans. I'm sorry.
In this fall, man, this is very tough. In this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
Why?
Like I said before, I feel like it's going to give me the best opportunity to win and to win for multiple years. And not only just to win in the regular season or just to win 5 games in a row or 3 games in a row. I want to be able to win championships, and I feel like I can compete down there.
But we also know you 3 kings came down here to win championships. Not 1, championships.
Not 2.
LeBron, tell us about that.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6.
Well, it looks like Ohio is officially back on the map. Earlier today, LeBron James announced that he would be returning to the Cleveland Cavaliers for the 2015 NBA season.
Breaking news, LeBron is a Laker.
LeBron James is a Los Angeles Laker.
We got breaking news into SportsCenter.
The Pelicans have agreed to finally trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers now.
Back to our breaking news here on SportsCenter. Massive trade happening in the NBA right now. The Dallas Mavericks are trading Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers.
They don't want you to bring it up. They claim it's a bad argument. They claim it's a deceiving stat. They say ridiculous things like it had more to do with the quote-unquote weak competition of the 90s than with Jordan's greatness. They know it's the only way to make an argument for their favorite player to be ranked ahead of them. This is where we can say that he is superior to everyone else. Let's start with this fact. There has been no one in the history of the game that has been relied on more by their team to win a title. We can prove this by one simple stat: usage rate. We're going to be looking at the highest usage rate for a single postseason by a player that won a title. Number 1 is Michael Jordan in the 1993 postseason. Number 2 is Michael Jordan in the 1992 postseason. Number 3 is Michael Jordan in the 1998 postseason. Number 4 is Hakeem Olajuwon in the 1995 postseason. And at number 5, it's Michael Jordan in the 1997 postseason. He has 4 appearances in the top 5 alone. I want you to think about how impressive this is. We're going to use LeBron James as an example. There was one time when he was utilized as much as Jordan was in the playoffs, and that was in 2015. We can see right here, it was just under his 1993 postseason. But take a look at his shooting percentage. He averaged 41.7% from the field. When he was asked to be utilized as much as Michael was, he turned into an inefficient gunner. He couldn't take on this added workload while also being his normal efficient self. But what about Michael Jordan? In the 1993 playoffs, he averaged 35.1 points on 47.5% shooting, 6.7 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. When he was asked to be utilized more than anybody else in playoff history, he went on to average the most points per game by any player in the postseason while winning the title. And yes, he was efficient. Instead of running out of gas in the finals, he went on to average the highest points per game in a final series, 41 points on 51% shooting. This guy's motor is just insane. He did all this after leading his team to back-to-back titles. This was after he posted a 34.7 usage rate in the 1993 regular season, which is the highest usage rate by any player who won the title in the same year. 4 unbreakable records that Jordan achieved in just one season. In 1991, he led his team to a 15-2 playoff record. That is tied for the 4th best win percentage for the shot clock era. They beat their opponents by an average margin of 11.7 points, which is the 5th highest mark ever. They accomplished this by beating Patrick Ewing and the Knicks, Charles Barkley and the 76ers, Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons, and Magic Johnson and the Lakers. If you think about it, they were 2 desperate 3-point field goals away from going undefeated in the playoffs. Hersey Hawkins and Sam Perkins stood in the way of immortality. Their 2 losses were both by 2 points. It was a real possibility that he could have gone undefeated in the playoffs. How many players in league history can say the same thing? Once he reached the finals, he made history from an individual standpoint. In the 1991 finals, he averaged 11.4 assists per game. That is the highest average by any player not named Magic Johnson. You heard that right. Think about all the legendary point guards that have reached the finals. None of them have surpassed that average in the biggest stage. But you know what Magic Johnson never did? Average over 31 points per game while shooting nearly 56% from the field. The numbers don't lie. In the finals, we have never, ever seen a better playmaker. For a point of emphasis, we mentioned earlier that Jordan averaged the most points per game in the playoffs while winning the title. Do you know who's second on that list? It's Air Jordan
once again. This came in the 1992 postseason when he averaged 34.5 points per game on 50% shooting. He also added 6.2 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and 2 steals per game. The fact that he holds the top 2 slots proves that he is a superior playoff performer over any player. The ultimate example of this came in the first round series against the Miami Heat. He averaged the insane stat line of 45 points on 61% shooting, 9.7 rebounds, 6.7 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block per game. This is only the 3rd time that a player has averaged over 45 points in a playoff series. He was always in kill mode. No matter who was on the floor, he was always going to give it his all. The vast majority don't have that same mentality. The few that did could never match the numbers that Jordan recorded. This is another thing that separates him from everyone else. It's one thing to have the right mindset, and it's another to have the skills to back it up. Michael's one of the few athletes that had both. Let's be real here. If you had the opportunity to make your path to the finals easier, wouldn't you do it? But to have that luxury, you have to play hard in the regular season to gain home court advantage. There are very few players that took the regular season as seriously as he did. That's why the Bulls had the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference for 5 of their 6 title seasons. He was the leader of the winningest team in NBA history. And guess who has the 2nd best combined record? It's the 1997 Chicago Bulls. They went 84-19. It isn't just that he had 2 separate three-peat runs. As much as they want to dismiss that, it's the fact that the 2nd three-peat is the most dominant 3-year stretch in league history. He had his hands on 3 game winners. Try to find a player that's had more than 1 in the finals. While you're looking that up, you can then try to find me the number of top 75 players that have made a title clinching shot. The only one is Michael Jordan. If it wasn't for his supreme clutch abilities, maybe he would have gone 4-2 in the finals, but he made sure that wouldn't happen. So when we say he's 6-0, we're also implying that he's the greatest clutch performer in playoff history. Now here's the most important point. When we say he's 6-0, we're not just counting his rings. What it really means is that no one has ever performed better on the biggest stage. That is why he never lost in the finals. For Michael Jordan haters, that just might be their worst nightmare.
There's a thing that Nick Wright, Shannon Sharpe, and these LeBron James apologists, witnesses, whatever you want to call them, regurgitate the same incoherent nonsense over and over again. Chris Broussard said, "What about the rings?" He ignored it. And then he said, "It's about winning." To them, longevity and appearances, which Nick Wright said in that monologue, is what defines a great player. Winning is almost an afterthought, and this is why LeBron James fans don't want to argue about 6-0. Michael Jordan excels as each pivotal point in the season. He has these peaks. He has the regular season 30, NBA playoffs 33.4, NBA finals 33.6. He plays better as the pressure continues to rise, as it mounts. This is one of the reasons why LeBron James fans don't want to argue their statistics in the finals. They act like these things don't exist, or they will talk about who did Jordan play in the finals. Essentially, when Nick Wright is putting LeBron James as the greatest player in the last 50 years, he's saying being 4-6 in the NBA Finals is better than the guy that's batting 1,000% in the NBA Finals. When did losing become the objective?
Hello? You play to win the game. Play to win.
And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
Winning supposed to be more important. I can't put a guy in front of a guy who's never lost in the NBA Finals. The pinnacle of your sport, Michael Jordan hasn't lost, let alone went into a Game 7. LeBron James apologists stay away from this because it's almost like kryptonite times 10 for them because they can't refute any of this.
LeBron James just made a decision that, without anyone saying it out loud, might have ruined what was left of his legacy. It wasn't a play on the court, it wasn't a game lost, it was a piece of paper, a little number, $52.6 million that he signed with a smile, while at the same time loudly complaining that his team doesn't have what it takes to win. And here's where the bomb drops. Jordan, at his most veteran stage when he owed nothing to anyone, did exactly the opposite. He accepted the minimum salary. He joined a team that didn't promise titles. Why? To give them financial breathing room so they could build a team around him, to keep competing like a hunting dog. 2 decisions, 2 career endings, 2 opposite mindsets, and the difference is so violent, so explicit that it becomes impossible to ignore, because when you look closely at that number, those 52 green bills LeBron locked in, what you see is not a contract. It's a funhouse mirror reflecting his legacy. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. What's wrong with wanting to earn what you deserve? Well, nothing. Unless you go around talking about winning at all costs.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
Jordan might have been missing his knees, but never his hunger. When he came back with the Washington Wizards, the guy already had 6 rings, 3 retirements behind him, a statue outside the United Center, and an entire generation that already saw him as a basketball god. He didn't need to come back, he didn't need to prove anything, but he came back anyway. Why? Because he never stopped wanting to win, he never stopped biting. And the craziest part, he came back earning rookie money, a veteran's minimum salary, like he was just another guy. While others were securing their millions, he lowered his own salary on purpose to free up cap space. He wanted the team to be able to sign more competitive players. He left room for the franchise. Who does that today? Michael Jordan didn't come back to coast to have a farewell tour to make teary social media posts. He came back to break his back. He played 82 games in a season at 40 years old. Even the air he breathed hurt, but he wasn't going to abandon the team, because to Jordan, basketball wasn't a personal brand. It was a war. And that shows you something very simple but very dark. Jordan wasn't obsessed with being remembered, he was obsessed with winning. And now let's jump to the present, to this version of LeBron, who at 40 years old says he wants to compete for a ring, but at the same time signs a contract that does exactly the opposite. How the hell do you explain that? $52.6 million, a third of the Lakers' salary cap, almost 35% of everything the franchise has to spend goes straight into his bank account. And meanwhile, what does he say? That he's frustrated, that the team isn't competitive, that there are no moves, that reinforcements aren't coming. Of course they're not coming, man. You backed them into a corner. How do you expect them to bring in big names if they can't even afford takeout? And on top of that, his agent, Rich Paul, came out and said that LeBron wants to compete for a championship, but understands that the Lakers are thinking about the future. A statement so lukewarm it gives you a fever. Because there's a difference between understanding the team and completely stopping it just to make sure you get one last massive paycheck. And look, no one's saying he doesn't deserve to get paid, but if you're a billionaire, if you're already a legend, if you're constantly talking about legacy and GOATs, then your actions matter too. Because LeBron didn't just sign that contract, he also spent his time whining about the lack of reinforcements. It's like setting the kitchen on fire and then complaining there's no dinner. And in that total contradiction, that's where his legacy starts to wobble. Because while Jordan took the bread out of his own mouth to feed the team, LeBron served himself caviar and left everyone else to make do with stale crackers. This is where things go from embarrassing to downright unforgivable. Because LeBron's contract isn't just a little number on an NBA Excel sheet, it's a chain that ties down the entire franchise. And the worst part, he knew it. He signed it with his eyes wide open, fully aware he was leaving the team gasping for air. Let me break it down for you. The projected salary cap for the 2025 to 2026 season is $154.6 million. LeBron is taking 52.6 of that. On his own, he's eating up 34% of the Lakers' total budget. And what does that mean? That the team can't use the full mid-level exception, they only qualify for the reduced version, $5.7 million. You know how much the full mid-level is? $14.1 million. That's a canyon. With $14 million, you can sign a solid starter, a decent big man, an elite defender. With $5.7, you get another Jackson Hayes, or worse. And all of this, why? Because LeBron didn't want to give up a single dollar. We're not talking charity here. Bobby Marks, NBA contract specialist, said something brutal. If LeBron had agreed to take $37 million instead of $52, the Lakers would have gained key flexibility to improve the roster. And $37 million, let's be clear, is not exactly starving. The choice was obvious: take more money or give the team some breathing room, and he chose the first. Then he sat down and complained that the team isn't built to compete. Come on, man. You can't fart in the elevator and then complain about the smell. This isn't an isolated case. It's not something only Jordan did. It's not a myth. It's a pattern, a dividing line between those who want to win and those who want to get paid. And every time a true champion had to choose, they chose winning. Tim Duncan, year 2012, he cut his salary from $21 million to $9.6. A massive drop. Why? So San Antonio could retain Danny Green, Patty Mills, Boris Dio, and build a team that ended up winning the title in 2014. That's a championship mindset. Dirk Nowitzki, the coldest German alive, but with more fire inside than most. When he was already a living legend in Dallas, he signed for $10 million over 2 years, turning down a $25 million option. That's an 80% pay cut. For what? To give the team breathing room, to leave a legacy, not just a fat bank account. And here's one closer to home. LeBron himself, back in 2010, when he joined Miami with Wade and Bosh, they all took pay cuts. Each one gave up $15 million so they could build a championship team. Result, 4 straight finals, 2 titles. So, what changed? What happened to the LeBron who put the team ahead of the contract? Maybe back when he wasn't a billionaire, he could think about rings. And now that he lacks nothing, he's playing it safe. I don't know. But what's clear is that the 2025 version isn't made of the same stuff as those champions. And as if all this weren't enough, the most bizarre part is that LeBron didn't just make the worst possible decision for his team, he also played the victim. As if he were somehow unrelated to the mess, as if he had nothing to do with it. Right after signing that $52 million contract, his camp started leaking that he was frustrated with the Lakers' lack of moves, that the team isn't ready to compete. Well, of course it's not ready. You left it in shambles, man. You suffocated it, you handcuffed it to a $5 million exception, and now expect it to compete with teams that actually have the flexibility to bring in talent. And while all that's happening, LeBron is playing another game, the media one, pressuring the staff, sending cryptic messages on social media, showing up at Cleveland games like, hey, I could leave, Constant tug of war, a billionaire's tantrum from someone who wants it all: the money, the ring, the control, and the legacy. And the darkest part is that the story doesn't add up, because if you really wanted to compete, you'd do what Jordan did, or Duncan, or Brady, or what you yourself did 15 years ago. If the team truly mattered to you, you wouldn't sign a ticking time bomb that leaves them with no tools to improve. But no. Today, LeBron prefers to cash the maximum check and then say with a straight face that he has a lot to think about. The same thing he said a few months ago, right after getting bounced in the first round. Yeah, LeBron, you do have a lot to think about. Because if this is the final year of your career, you're closing out your story with a massive contradiction. And not even the highest salary in NBA history can cover up that legacy. This is where the debate stops being about sports and becomes philosophical, because you can compare rings, points, triple doubles, whatever you want. But in the end, there's one thing that separates the Giants from those who are merely great, and it's how they act when they have nothing left to prove. Jordan came back at 38 after being the greatest, after retiring twice after securing his place in Olympus, and still he chose to return. But not for glory, not for the contract, not for fame. He came back to compete, to play, to teach. He sat with the young guys in the locker room, supported them, trained them, inspired them, and he did all of it earning a rookie salary. Did he win titles with the Wizards? No. Did that lower his value? Not even slightly. Because he showed the fire was still there, that he didn't care what people said, that if he was going to retire, he would do it with his shoes on, sweaty bleeding, and fighting for a team that wasn't even a contender. Now look at LeBron, surrounded by doubt, by contradictions, signing a record-breaking contract while complaining that he can't compete, demanding everything, sacrificing nothing. And you know what the most ironic part is? That if he had made that one last sacrifice, if he had lowered his contract and let the team breathe, maybe he could have gone for ring number 5. Maybe he could have closed his career with a true epic, but he didn't. He chose the bag, he chose safety, he chose comfort over legacy, and that, my friend, doesn't make him less talented, but it does make him less immortal. For years, we obsessed over numbers, records, statistics, who's more efficient, who has more rings, who played more seasons, who never lost the finals. But today, I'm showing you a stat that doesn't fit in any spreadsheet, that won't show up on ESPN, that won't appear in flashy graphics on social media. A stat with no color, yet all the weight. One that isn't shouted, but leaves you speechless. Jordan, at 40 years old, took the minimum salary to help his team. LeBron, at 40 years old, asked for $52 million and left his team with no breathing room. That decision, that number, that quiet gesture says more than 1,000 highlights, because in the end, the real difference between Jordan and LeBron isn't in the points, it's in the priorities. So the next time someone tells you Jordan and LeBron are neck and neck in the debate, ask them this: who would you choose if your life depended on winning?
I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the A-all, B-all of everything. Like, okay, you weren't a great player if you never won a championship. Yeah. It's like, or if you won one, then you can't be in the same conversation with this person. I don't know, man. It's just like, you sit here and you tell me, you know, Allen Iverson and Charles Barkley and Steve Nash, you know, our wasn't unbelievable. Like, oh, they can't be talked about or discussed with these guys just because this guy won one ring or won two rings or one, like, it's just weird to me. It's like
But we also know you three kings came down here to win championships. Not one. Tell us about that.
Not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, not seven.
They don't want you to bring it up. They claim it's a bad argument. They claim it's a deceiving stat. They say ridiculous things like it had more to do with the quote-unquote weak competition of the 90s than with Jordan's greatness. They know it's the only way to make an argument for their favorite player to be ranked ahead of them. Don't be fooled. Deep down, they know the argument is unbeatable if you simply say that Michael Jordan is 6-0 in the finals. He was always the best player for all the titles he won. Who else in the modern NBA can say the same? Not just that they always were the best player when they won, but for the number of times that he did it. Since the merger, there are 4 players who are in the GOAT conversation that won at least 5 titles. Those players are Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, and Tim Duncan. However, none of them can say that they were the best player for each title they won. They all lost the Finals MVP to a superior teammate. But what about LeBron James? He won 4 titles and was the best player in each of those seasons. Here's the difference. He lost in the finals as many times as Jordan won it, 6 times. This is the foundation of this whole argument. It's not just that he won 6 titles. There are players who won more than he did. It's what he did to ensure that he never lost. We're talking about the way he performed. This is where we can say that he is superior to everyone else. There has been no one in the history of the game that has been relied on more by their team to win a title. We can prove this by one simple stat: usage rate. We're going to be looking at the highest usage rate for a single postseason by a player that won a title. Number 1 is Michael Jordan in the 1993 postseason. Number 2 is Michael Jordan in the 1992 postseason. Number 3 is Michael Jordan in the 1998 postseason. Number 4 is Hakeem Olajuwon in the 1995 postseason. And at number 5, it's Michael Jordan in the 1997 postseason. He has 4 appearances in the top 5 alone. I want you to think about how impressive this is. We're going to use LeBron James as an example. There was one time when he was utilized as much as Jordan was in the playoffs. But take a look at his shooting percentage. He averaged 41.7% from the field. When he was asked to be utilized as much as Michael was, he turned into an inefficient gunner. He couldn't take on this added workload while also being his normal efficient self. But what about Michael Jordan? In the 1993 playoffs, he averaged 35.1 points on 47.5% shooting, 6.7 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. When he was asked to be utilized more than anybody else in playoff history, he went on to average the most points per game by any player in the postseason while winning the title. And yes, he was efficient. Instead of running out of gas in the finals, he went on to average the highest points per game in a final series, 41 points on 51% shooting. This guy's motor is just insane. He did all this after leading his team to back-to-back titles. This was after he posted a 34.7 usage rate in the 1993 regular season, which is the highest usage rate by any player who won the title in the same year. 4 unbreakable records that Jordan achieved in just one season. How many players in league history can say the same thing? Once he reached the finals, he made history from an individual standpoint. In the 1991 finals, he averaged 11.4 assists per game. That is the highest average by any player not named Magic Johnson. You heard that right. Think about all the legendary point guards that have reached the finals. None of them have surpassed that average in the biggest stage. But you know what Magic Johnson never did? Average over 31 points per game while shooting nearly 56% from the field. The numbers don't lie. In the finals, we have never, ever seen a better playmaker. For a point of emphasis, we mentioned earlier that Jordan averaged the most points per game in the playoffs while winning the title. Do you know who's second on that list? It's Air Jordan once again. This came in the 1992 postseason when he averaged 34.5 points per game on 50% shooting. He also added 6.2 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and 2 steals per game. The fact that he holds the top 2 slots proves that he is a superior playoff performer over any player. The ultimate example of this came in the first round series against the Miami Heat. He averaged the insane stat line of 45 points on 61% shooting, 9.7 rebounds, 6.7 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block per game. Damn! Let's be real here. If you had the opportunity to make your path to the finals easier, wouldn't you do it? But to have that luxury, you have to play hard in the regular season to gain home court advantage. There are very few players that took the regular season as seriously as he did. That's why the Bulls had the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference for 5 of their 6 title seasons. But on 2 of those occasions, they made history. In 1996, they won the most games in the regular season and playoffs combined. So when you say MJ went 6-0, make sure to include that he was the leader of the winningest team in NBA history. And guess who has the second best combined record? It's the 1997 Chicago Bulls. They went 84-19. It isn't just that he had 2 separate three-peat runs. As much as they want to dismiss that, it's the fact that the second three-peat is the most dominant 3-year stretch in league history. But that doesn't mean it was a cakewalk. They experienced some close calls that put their title hopes in jeopardy. This is where they asked the greatest clutch player to bail them out. 1997 Finals performance is the most clutch series from any player. He had his hands on 3 game winners. Try to find a player that's had more than 1 in the finals. While you're looking that up, you can then try to find me the number of top 75 players that have made a title clinching shot. The only one is Michael Jordan. If it wasn't for his supreme clutch abilities, maybe he would have gone 4-2 in the finals instead of 6-0. But he made sure that wouldn't happen. Now here's the most important point. When we say he's 6-0, we're not just counting his rings. What it really means is that no one has ever performed better on the biggest stage. That is why he never lost in the finals.
stop saying Michael Jordan never played competition, because Michael Jordan is 20-7 against 50-win teams. These are one of the stupidest arguments that they bring to the table. It literally has no validity. This is not an argument you should be using, that Michael Jordan didn't play competition when he played in his era. 20-7 against 50-win teams. I'm not even bringing the whole totality of the 60 wins included, because what LeBron James fan will tell you is, well, Michael Jordan never beat a 70-win team. LeBron James did that. They will cling on to that like that's the lightsaber that's going to destroy the argument. All you have to do is refute it is, well, Michael Jordan never beat a 70-win team because he was a 70-win team. So this is why when you debate LeBron James fan, I call it the railroad effect. They'll build all these tracks for the argument to go here. But in the end, it leads down to the final destination. Winning has to be the precedent in sports. When we talk about sprinters like Usain Bolt and his competition, we don't talk about the guy who came in second place. This is not soccer where you get rewarded with a gold medal for coming in second place. All that is just giving a first place loser a trophy. That's all that is. Winning is what sports is about, and that's what Michael Jordan did better than LeBron James, and you cannot argue this, and there's nothing you can do to refute it.
The game is going to continue to evolve. You know, like you said, the Big Three era had its moment. The Big Three era has always had its moment. You know, way before myself, D-Wade, and Bosh came together, you know, you had, Wilt Chamberlain and Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, they played together. You know, you had so many guys that's the Big Three era. So
Bird, Parrish, McHale.
Exactly. Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, so like, the Big Three era will always kind of be there.
LeBron James just destroyed his own legacy with a Jordan comment. You're about to witness the most embarrassing attempt at legacy protection in NBA history. The King made a statement so desperate, so historically inaccurate, that it might have single-handedly torpedoed any remaining GOAT argument he had left. In a recent podcast appearance, LeBron tried to rewrite basketball history by calling Michael Jordan's Bulls a super team, but here's the thing. This backfired so spectacularly that even his biggest supporters are questioning everything. LeBron was on his podcast, Mind the Game. When he went off on this tangent about super teams, everything seemed normal at first. He was talking about how the game evolves, how Big Threes have always existed throughout NBA history. But then he said something that left everyone's jaws on the floor. You had so many guys, that's the Big Three era. So, Bird, Parrish, Mayle, Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, The victory era will always kind of be there. Did you catch that? LeBron James just called Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls a super team. The man who's been criticized his entire career for ring chasing and joining super teams just tried to drag the greatest player of all time down to his level. And folks, this is where things get absolutely wild, because what LeBron just did wasn't just historically inaccurate. It was legacy suicide. He basically admitted that if Jordan had a super team and still dominated, then what's his excuse for underperforming with actual super teams? But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's break this down piece by piece. Let's examine exactly what LeBron is claiming here. He's saying that the 1997-98 Chicago Bulls, the team that went 72-10 and won the championship, was a super team comparable to his Miami Heat. Here's the 1998 Bulls roster that LeBron is calling a super team. Michael Jordan at 35 years old, Scottie Pippen at 31, Dennis Rodman at 37, and then a supporting cast that included Steve Kerr, Ron Harper, Luke Longley, and a bunch of role players who were barely hanging on in the league. Now, here's where this gets absolutely ridiculous. When we talk about super teams, we're talking about multiple superstars in their prime joining forces. The definition of a super team isn't just having good players, it's about stars sacrificing to team up and create an unfair advantage. Jordan was 35 years old. That's past the prime of most NBA players. Pippen, while still excellent, was dealing with back issues and clearly on the decline. Rodman was a 7-year-old rebounding specialist who was more famous for his off-court antics than his basketball at that point. Compare that to what LeBron did in Miami. He was 25 years old, right in his absolute prime. Dwayne Wade was 28. Also in his prime, Chris Bosh was 26. Again, prime years. 3 superstars, all under 30, all in their peak years, deciding to team up and dominate the league. The 2011 Miami Heat roster consisted of Joel Anthony, Carlos Royo, Mike Bibby, Chris Bosh, Mario Chalmers, Eric Dampier, Udonis Haslem, Eddie Jones, Juan Howard, Ismail, Mike Miller, Jerry Stackhouse, Dwayne Wade. That was a 2-0-1-0-2-0-1-1 team. Let's talk about what an actual super team looks like, shall we? The 2010-11 Miami Heat roster that LeBron is trying to distance himself from included LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Ray Allen, and a supporting cast that was built specifically to complement these superstars. Every single one of those core players was in their prime. LeBron was coming off arguably his best individual season in Cleveland. Wade had just led the Heat to a championship 5 years earlier and was still elite. Bosh was a perennial all-star who was sacrificing individual numbers for team success. That's a super team, 3 Hall of Fame players in their prime, choosing to play together, taking less money to create an unstoppable force. And they still couldn't win every championship. They went to 4 finals and won 2. Jordan's super team of aging veterans went 6-0 in the finals. But here's what's really telling about LeBron's comment. He knows exactly what he's doing. This isn't an innocent observation about basketball history. This is a calculated attempt to rewrite the narrative around his own career choices. You want to know why LeBron is really saying this? Because he's tired of being criticized for the super team era. He's tired of people questioning his championships because he had to team up with other superstars to win them. So, what does he do? He tries to drag Jordan down to his level. Well, if Jordan had a super team too, then you can't criticize me for having super teams. But here's the problem with that logic. It completely backfires. Because if we accept LeBron's premise that both he and Jordan had super teams, then we have to ask the uncomfortable question, why did Jordan's super team go 6-0 in the finals, while LeBron's super teams went 4-6? If both players had unfair advantages, if both had super teams, then why was Jordan perfect in the finals while LeBron lost more than he won? The answer is simple and brutal, because Jordan was just better. LeBron thought he was being clever, thought he was deflecting criticism. Instead, he just highlighted his own failures. He basically said, hey, we both had super teams, but somehow I still couldn't get the job done as well as he did. Let's get real about what LeBron just admitted. He essentially said that he had the same advantages as Jordan, but produced inferior results. Jordan's Bulls won 6 championships in 6 tries. LeBron's super teams won 4 championships in 10+ tries across multiple super teams. If LeBron wants to argue that Jordan had a super team, fine. Let's accept that premise for a moment. That means Jordan took his super team and went perfect in the finals. 6 attempts, 6 victories, 6 finals, MVPs, never lost when it mattered most. Meanwhile, LeBron has been on multiple super teams. Miami, Cleveland when they traded for Love, the Lakers with AD, and he's lost 6 finals, 6 more losses than Jordan had appearances. And here's the kicker. Jordan's super team was held together by the greatest competitor in sports history. LeBron's super teams were assembled by LeBron himself, handpicked by him. And he still couldn't match Jordan's success rate. Oh, you see how this comment just destroyed his own argument. He thought he was equalizing the playing field. But he just highlighted how much more successful Jordan was, with allegedly the same advantages. What LeBron did with this comment might go down as one of the biggest cell phones in sports history. Instead of defending his legacy, he accidentally exposed its biggest weakness. For years, LeBron supporters have argued that he did more with less, that he carried inferior teams to the finals, that his finals losses were actually impressive. But now, LeBron himself is saying that Jordan had a super team. So, what's the excuse now? If Jordan had the same advantages, then LeBron's finals losses become even more damaging. If both players had super teams, then going 4-6 in the finals compared to 6-0 looks absolutely terrible. The basketball community noticed this immediately. Analysts, former players, and fans all started asking the same question: did LeBron just argue against himself? Because that's exactly what happened. But wait, it gets worse. Remember, LeBron has been on multiple super teams: the Miami Heat, the Cavaliers with Love and Irving, the Lakers with AD. Meanwhile, Jordan's alleged super team was just one roster. The same core group that had been together for years, growing old together, that LeBron basically admitted that even with multiple attempts at creating super teams, he still couldn't match the success of Jordan's one super team. That's not the argument you want to make when you're trying to claim the GOAT throne. The most damaging part of all this, LeBron revealed his own insecurity. The greatest players don't spend their time trying to tear down the legends who came before them. They let their play speak for itself. But here's LeBron, years after his playing prime, still trying to diminish Jordan's accomplishments to make himself look better. Here's what really happened with LeBron's comment. He exposed the fundamental difference between himself and Jordan. Jordan's Bulls were a team built through the draft, developed over time with veteran role players, supporting two superstars who had been together for years. That's not a super team. That's just a great team that LeBron's super teams were manufactured. They were created through free agency with multiple superstars making a conscious decision to team up because they couldn't win on their own. There's a massive difference between those two scenarios. When Jordan won his championships, he beat super teams. When LeBron won his championships, he was the super team. And somehow LeBron thought pointing this out would help his case. The basketball world is still trying to process this level of self-destruction. LeBron James, in trying to protect his legacy, might have just delivered the final blow to any remaining GOAT argument he had. So there you have it. LeBron James just committed legacy suicide on his own podcast. In trying to diminish Jordan's accomplishments, he accidentally highlighted his own failures. In trying to rewrite history, he just made his place in it look even worse. The king thought he was being clever, thought he was making a smart argument. Instead, he just reminded everyone why Jordan is still the GOAT, and why LeBron, despite all his individual brilliance, will always be chasing that ghost in Chicago.
But we also know you three kings came down here to win championships.
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
Michael Jordan is the greatest I've ever seen. I don't say that to throw shade on him. I say that because as a basketball player, I believe Michael Jordan is to be revered. I see people respecting LeBron and being in awe of him. I saw Michael Jordan feared. Feared. I'm talking about it's next level, bro. I love the quote from John Sally in the Last Dance documentary and docuseries, where John Sally said, the plan for the bad boys, Jordan was the major plan was to get him before he went airborne. Because you know he's not human, right? Because you know he wasn't human, right? That was the thinking of Michael Jordan, a stone cold killer, right? And annihilate you. You know, he came to take your soul. He didn't come just to beat you. He wanted to demoralize you in such a way that you knew better than thinking you could defeat him.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time.
For
That's
so
what
many
I felt.
reasons.
I was super ecstatic to win one for Cleveland because of the 52-year drought. Like, I was ecstatic. Like, obviously, I showed that the first wave of emotion was when everyone saw me crying. Like, that was all for 52 years. Everything in sports was going on in Cleveland. And then after I stopped, I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time.
And, you know, we all have our opinion, but my problem is more so with LeBron is if you are the greatest player, if people are saying you are the greatest player, or if people are saying Michael Jordan is the greatest player, why do you need to say it?
Right.
Michael Jordan has never, ever said he's the greatest player to ever play the game. Why? He's respected all the other players before him. So for LeBron to say that, he's sort of pulling himself out of it because You can't say you're the greatest player. You have to allow your peers in the world to say that.
So the context of when he said it, just because, you know, if we're having this discussion, he was talking, sitting around with his friends, and he was saying that when he won that 2016 title, he said his first thought was Cleveland, wow, we've done this first time in 52 years. And he said, my second thought as I was, you know, running around the court being crazy was, wow, I did it. This is what makes me the greatest player of all time. You can disagree with him, I get it, and you can disagree with him saying that. And by the way, that conversation was for a documentary that was supposed to appear on ESPN Plus, so he knew cameras were rolling. It's not like they caught him in a moment.
Well,
I think
it's pretty great that a guy won 3 titles, left for 2 years, came back and won 3 more. That is considered greatness to me.
I've never heard one of the greatest say they were the greatest of all time. That was very interesting to me. Kevin, what are your thoughts?
Oof, man, you know what? It's one thing. We all sit at this table all the time and sing his praises. Yeah. I think LeBron is a great player. Yeah. I just think that's disrespectful, honestly, to Bill Russell. What did Bill Russell do? Won every time. He said, all right, fellas, you want to win? Come with me. We'll go on the floor. That's what this game's all about. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah.
I mean, you
know, and he was great on time, all levels, though, Kareem. The best in high school, the best in college, and the best in the pros.
That's what I'm saying. You know, Michael. I mean, there's just so many. 2 of my good, Larry and Magic. I mean, just led teams and turned the league around. You don't need to say that about yourself. Let other people say that for you. I mean, I was kind of surprised because I had read about it. But that's the first time I had actually heard him say it. Made me the GOAT. I'm like, damn.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I was like, okay, you know, and I love the kid. I think he's a great player. I think he's been great for the game. But let other people say that for you. Yeah. To me, it's just disrespectful for a lot of people that came before you that were great players. And you said it to begin with, Chris. You can't compare eras and all that stuff. All these guys have been so great in their era. I just didn't like. I didn't like the way that sounded to me. Just didn't like it.
You know, and everybody knows I love LeBron, but I'm gonna call timeout on this one because and I'll speak definitely to LeBron, or I'll say it to his face. But you never. There's a certain thing about greatness that demands that you have humility with greatness. Now, I've never heard, even though we argue about Michael Jordan being the greatest of all time or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar being the greatest of all time, LeBron James being the greatest of all time, we have those arguments in debate. I have never heard Michael Jordan say he's the greatest of all time. Yeah. Even though he may think that, even though Kareem may think that, right? You just don't come out and say that. To say that is just totally disrespectful to me as one of your competitors, as one of your teammates, as someone in your generation right now. It's just, you don't come out and say that. So with greatness, there's a certain amount of humility that goes with that.
Jalen, I want to start with you.
Okay.
How do you feel about LeBron saying that about himself?
In my mind, he still has a way to go clearly to pass Michael Jordan, Bill Russell, 11 championships, 13 years, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
the captain.
And my heart just won't let him pass Magic just yet.
He's on the Mount Rushmore, in my opinion, but I can't put him at the top.
I don't know if you can self-proclaim this, because when you think of all the great players, like Jalen said, Kareem, Magic, none of them has never come out and said, I'm the GOAT. You know, that's something up to like the fans, the writers, and former players. You know, so when they come out with these ESPN rankings and all these other rankings, you know, let that be the judge, I think. You know, but the self-proclaiming, he's definitely up there. He's definitely top 5 in my book. But I think when you look at the accolades, the championships, I mean, Jordan, Magic, Kareem.
Turns out back in 2009, the GOAT, Michael Jordan, was asked by our pal Michael Wilbon about his place on the all-time list of NBA greatness. And here is what MJ had to say.
I don't want it in a sense because I think it disrespects Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, you know, all the guys that prior to me I never had a chance to play against. You know, what everybody's saying I am, I never had the chance to compete against other legends that was prior to me. When I hear it, I cringe a little bit because, you know, it's a little bit embarrassing because no one knows, you know. I never had the chance, once again, to play against those guys. to compete, to win. That's all I live for, really. When you lose, you're easily forgotten. And I don't think anyone want to go to their graves forgotten. I'm not here campaigning for the best player in the world or in history. I'm not saying that, because everybody plays differently in different eras.
All the talk about the Chicago Bulls is about Michael Jordan, the outstanding rookie from North Carolina.
Coming on this level is a brand new start for me, and I have to start from the bottom and work my way up. So, I think the hard work is ahead of me, and I'm willing to take on that challenge and go out and play the best I can.
Everybody else is already down when he puts the shot up.
People ask me, you really think you can fly? I said, yeah, for a little while.
And he jams it over J.B. Carroll, and that's what I'm talking about. When he ducks over the top yard. Inbound, Jordan turns, the triple at the horn. Overtime. Basket is Jordan steals. Here's your
I play basketball, I don't play conservative. I play all out.
Sixers in a hurry, and Jordan knocks the ball out of bounds. No, he didn't. He saved it and played it. Oh, what a spectacular Jordan, here's trouble. 3-on-3. Jordan and deep. They're going to double off the ball. The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win! Right, off to Jordan. Michael in the lead for the first ever NBA championship.
Here we are with Michael. Is there a feeling of a passing of the torch, Magic Johnson, to you?
Oh, without a doubt. Everybody knew that it was coming. It's just when. When was he going to be ready to receive it and take it? And boy, did he receive it and take it.
I think he's talking to Mutombo.
He closed his eyes on that, but still went in. He's all smile. Oh, my God! Yeah! What a way to start the season.
tell you, he's just simply amazing.
We knew he was coming back. Now we know when, and the news is music to the ears of Bulls fans. Michael Jordan will be in uniform for the Chicago Bulls, and Michael summed up his decision to return in 2 words: I'm back.
Today, an artist returns to his true canvas, the hardwood courts of the NBA. Michael Jordan is back.
Say, take us home, Michael. And he does.
Saw the report. 45 is in mothballs. 23 is back.
To Jordan, time running down for the win. You can't believe it. He does it again. Michael Jordan. Look at this. Oh, Michael with a hang time move.
Just 10 losses and a ball club that set NBA history with wins on the year.
One at the line, they leave him open. Oh, the Bulls are out.
Jordan reviewing back. Jordan around Ewing. Oh, that's the foul.
What a move by Michael Jordan.
And here is Michael, 4 on the shot clock now, keeps it on the dribble. Russell's there. Here he is, pull up 18-footer.
Yes, at the buzzer. Michael Jordan shows again why he is the #1 MVP in the world.
Jordan clears. Michael to win it. And he does! And he does! Ring it up! Michael Jordan has beaten the Hawks again!
You know what? Strength is one thing, but lots of guys are strong, and lots of guys have skill, and only one guy has this level of artistry.
Shakes the finger. He finally got his dunk about the tumble.
Game 7, or from championship number 6.
Michael against Russell, 12 seconds. 11, 10. Jordan a drive. Hangs. Fires. Yes! He scores! The Bulls lead 87-86.
If that's the last image of Michael Jordan, how magnificent is it?
For Magic, what do you expect from LeBron tonight?
I want to see him, Stewart, have some fun.
get into his defense, because the key is, can he stop Jason Terry? Can he stop Jason Terry?
Can he stop Jason Terry?
16th year with the organization. He started as a video coordinator. Terry, nice move. It goes down hard. Well, even if you don't get along, there comes a point where you got to stop sugarcoating. Because this veteran Mavericks team always confident they can come back. Terry shot rolls. Just past the midway point of the fourth. Terry drive to the basket, lays it up. Taylor right so many times during these playoffs. Terry the drive, moves right at LeBron James. James back on Terry, one dribble, pull up, puts it in. Percentages extraordinary tonight. 56 for Miami, 56 for Dallas. Terry wide open for three. Nowitzki trying to get free. Good ball to Allen again. Shot clock at 5. Terry the drive, out to Kidd. Kidd for three. It's good. Nowitzki wants the ball, has him again. Excellent ball drive. Terry a long three. Jason Terry gives the Mavericks a 7-point lead with 33 seconds remaining. Away, throws it ahead to Terry. James is back. Terry, jump shot is good.
I say, can you give me 14, 15 minutes? Because this is what you dreamed